If you wake up around 3 a.m. and suddenly your brain feels completely awake, almost as if your mind believes the night is already over, something very specific may be happening inside your brain at that moment. Your body feels deeply exhausted from the day, but your mind suddenly turns on without warning. Thoughts begin moving faster than you can control, and the quiet of the night disappears almost instantly. You try to relax and fall back asleep again, but the more you try, the more your mind seems to stay active. New thoughts appear out of nowhere. Memories, plans, worries, random ideas begin racing. Your body wants rest more than anything, yet your brain refuses to power down, and within minutes you realize you may be fully awake again. Most people assume this is simply insomnia, but sleep science is beginning to show something surprising. For many people who wake up around 3 a.m., the brain may be entering a strange internal state, a state where the brain behaves as if morning has already started. And once that shift begins, the brain can move into what researchers call brain alert mode. Why this happens to so many people, especially after 40, is rarely explained, and understanding that hidden trigger changes everything about how nighttime sleep works. I'm Dr. Sarah, a sleep medicine specialist with a background in psychiatry, and for years I've worked closely with people who struggle with sleep in ways that feel confusing and frustrating. Many of them arrive believing they simply have insomnia, but the pattern they describe is often much more specific. They tell me they fall asleep without much difficulty, yet somewhere in the middle of the night, something suddenly changes, and that change almost always happens around the same time. I often hear the same words repeated again and again. I fall asleep normally at the beginning of the night, but then I wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning, and once my eyes open, my brain just won't shut off. They describe their mind becoming strangely active. Thoughts start circulating in ways that feel impossible to control, and returning to sleep suddenly feels much harder than it should. During the daytime, these same people feel physically drained. They describe mental fog and a constant sense of fatigue. Many say they wake up feeling as if their sleep never truly restored them. Yet when nighttime comes, their brain becomes alert again, almost like an internal switch flips at the wrong moment. The mind becomes busy while the body remains exhausted, and this contradiction leaves many people feeling confused about what is happening. This pattern becomes even more common after the age of 40. Subtle hormonal shifts begin influencing the brain's sleep regulation systems. The circadian rhythm becomes more sensitive to internal signals, and the nervous system can react more strongly to nighttime stress hormones. These biological changes are completely natural, but for some people, they quietly destabilize the brain's sleep timing, and that is when nighttime awakenings begin to appear more frequently. What surprises many people is that falling asleep is often not the main problem. Most individuals can still drift into sleep at the beginning of the night. The real difficulty appears later. Somewhere between deep sleep cycles, the brain suddenly activates again. Instead of remaining in restorative sleep, the mind becomes alert. The person wakes up and feels their thoughts accelerating, and that moment becomes the beginning of a long, restless stretch of the night. Modern sleep science has started looking deeper into this exact pattern. Researchers began noticing that the brain may be reacting to something internal, not simply stress or overthinking before bed, but a biological response that activates inside the nervous system, a response capable of interrupting deep sleep unexpectedly. Understanding this response has changed how many specialists view nighttime awakenings, and it reveals a hidden mechanism most traditional sleep advice never explains. If this pattern is happening to you, the night often begins in a completely normal way. You lie down, close your eyes, and slowly drift into sleep. For a while, everything feels quiet and stable inside your body. Your breathing slows, and your muscles finally relax. The mind gradually fades into the background. Nothing feels unusual or alarming at first, and it seems like the night will pass just like any other. But then, somewhere around 3 a.m., something suddenly shifts. Your eyes open without any clear reason. You didn't hear a noise and nothing disturbed the room, yet your mind feels strangely alert the moment you wake. The calm heaviness of sleep disappears almost instantly. Instead of feeling groggy, you feel mentally awake, and that sudden alertness feels confusing in the middle of the night. At first, you try to relax and fall back asleep again, but the more you try, the more your mind seems to stay active. New thoughts appear out of nowhere. Memories, plans, worries, random ideas begin racing. Your body wants rest more than anything, yet your brain refuses to power down, and within minutes you realize you may be fully awake again. Even if you eventually manage to fall asleep later, morning often arrives with a lingering sense of exhaustion. You wake up feeling as if the night never fully restored you. Your energy feels incomplete and your mind slightly foggy. Many people assume this happens because they were thinking too much, but sleep science suggests something very different may be happening. Your brain may actually be waking up first before those thoughts ever begin. Researchers who study sleep fragmentation have begun identifying a specific biological pattern inside the brain, a pattern that appears repeatedly in people who wake during the middle of the night. For many years, these awakenings were simply labeled as insomnia, but newer sleep research started noticing something more precise happening. The brain was not just randomly waking up, it was activating a measurable internal response, a response now referred to as the neural sleep inhibition response. The neural sleep inhibition response occurs when the brain temporarily interrupts deep sleep. Instead of remaining in restorative sleep cycles, the nervous system begins shifting toward alertness. This shift can happen quietly and without any external disturbance. The sleeping brain suddenly becomes more sensitive to internal signals. The body may still feel heavy and tired in the bed, but the brain begins preparing for wakefulness, and that transition can happen very quickly in the middle of the night. During this state, several biological changes can begin unfolding at the same time. Cortisol may start rising earlier than the brain originally planned. The nervous system gradually increases its level of activity. Signals related to alertness begin circulating through the brain. This creates a subtle shift in the body's internal balance. Sleep is no longer the brain's top priority. Instead, the brain begins leaning towards vigilance. As this shift continues, the brain can move into what researchers describe as brain alert mode. This is a protective state where the mind becomes more attentive to internal signals. Heart rate may increase slightly. The brain becomes more capable of processing thoughts and sensations. Instead of drifting deeper into sleep, awareness begins returning. The sleeping brain slowly becomes a waking brain, and this can happen long before the person fully realizes it. When this occurs, the brain's normal sleep switch becomes unstable. That sleep switch is responsible for keeping the body asleep throughout the night. Under stable conditions, it allows the brain to move smoothly through sleep cycles. But when the nervous system shifts toward alertness, that stability weakens. Deep sleep becomes harder to maintain. The brain moves closer to wakefulness, and the person suddenly opens their eyes in the middle of the night. This is one of the hidden reasons some people consistently wake around 3 a.m. Their brain has briefly activated the neural sleep inhibition response. Once that response begins, the brain may struggle to return to deep sleep. Thoughts start appearing because the mind is already becoming active. Many people believe the thoughts cause the awakening, but in many cases, the awakening happened first, and the real trigger behind that response is something most people never expect. The real problem usually isn't that your brain refuses to sleep. Most people believe their mind is simply too active at night. They assume their thoughts are the main reason they wake up. But modern sleep research points in a different direction. The brain is often reacting to something deeper inside the body, something that changes how safe the brain feels during sleep. and that shift can interrupt rest even when you feel exhausted. The issue is that the brain can temporarily stop feeling safe enough to remain asleep. Sleep is not just a passive state where the body shuts down. It is a carefully regulated process controlled by the nervous system. For deep sleep to continue, the brain must perceive stability inside the body. When that internal balance feels uncertain, the brain becomes cautious. Instead of allowing deeper sleep cycles to continue, it begins preparing the body for awareness again. When the brain senses instability in the internal environment, it can activate the neural sleep inhibition response automatically. This response works like a biological safety signal. Its purpose is to move the brain away from vulnerability. The nervous system gradually increases its level of vigilance. Sleep begins losing its dominance over the body, and alertness slowly takes its place during the night. As this process begins, the body starts shifting toward wakefulness. The nervous system becomes slightly more active than before. Heart rate can increase in subtle but measurable ways. The brain begins monitoring internal signals more closely. This transition often happens quietly beneath conscious awareness. You may still feel physically tired in the bed, but your brain is no longer fully committed to sleep. At the same time, cortisol can begin rising earlier than expected. Cortisol is one of the hormones that helps prepare the body for morning. When it rises too soon, the brain receives a signal that the night may be ending. That signal can push the brain toward brain alert mode. Thoughts become easier to generate and attention becomes sharper. Even though the body still needs rest, the brain begins acting as if the morning is approaching. This is one of the hidden reasons people struggle to sleep through the night. Their brain is not failing to sleep out of weakness or poor habits. It is responding to signals that suggest instability in the system. The neural sleep inhibition response temporarily interrupts deep sleep. Once that response begins, returning to sleep becomes more difficult, and this is exactly why so many people wake around the same time each night. But there is another biological factor that can make this response far more sensitive. After around the age of 40, several natural biological changes begin unfolding inside the body. These changes develop gradually and often go unnoticed at first. Most people continue their normal routines without realizing anything has shifted. But deep inside the brain, sleep regulation slowly becomes more delicate. Hormones that once worked in perfect balance begin adjusting their timing. The nervous system becomes slightly more responsive to internal signals, and this subtle shift can influence how the brain protects sleep at night. One of the first changes involves the slow reduction of melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that helps the brain recognize when night has truly begun. In younger years, the brain releases it with strong, stable timing, but as the body ages, that signal can become slightly weaker. Sleep may still arrive normally at the beginning of the night, yet the brain becomes more vulnerable to interruptions later on, and that vulnerability can quietly affect the second half of the night. At the same time, the circadian rhythm becomes more sensitive to internal signals. The circadian rhythm is the biological clock guiding the body through day and night. In earlier years, this rhythm tends to remain very stable, but after 40, even small disruptions can influence its timing. The brain may begin interpreting certain internal signals differently. Signals that once had no impact during the night, now they can subtly influence when the brain prepares to wake. Another important shift involves the nervous system's response to cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that helps prepare the body for daytime activity. Normally, it rises gradually as morning approaches, but a more sensitive nervous system can react strongly to small fluctuations. When cortisol begins rising earlier than expected, the brain may interpret that signal as the beginning of morning, even though the night is far from over. For some people, this increased sensitivity makes the brain more likely to activate the neural sleep inhibition response.
the brain begins responding more quickly to internal instability. If the nervous system senses imbalance during the night, it may trigger brain alert mode as a protective measure. This alertness interrupts deep sleep cycles, and the person suddenly finds themselves awake in the middle of the night, often without understanding what caused it. This helps explain why many adults begin experiencing new sleep patterns after 40. They wake up around 3 a.m. even though they never had sleep problems before. Their mind suddenly feels active during the quietest hours of the night. Returning to sleep becomes surprisingly difficult, and the experience feels like insomnia appearing out of nowhere. But the most important thing many people never hear is this: the neural sleep inhibition response is not a permanent state of the brain. If your brain enters brain alert mode during the night, it does not mean something is wrong with you. Many people immediately assume their sleep system is broken. They believe their mind is simply too active at night. But the reality is very different from that assumption. Your body still knows exactly how to sleep. The mechanisms that create sleep are still present inside your brain. What is happening is far more protective than most people realize. Your brain is actually trying to protect you. Sleep places the body in a deeply vulnerable state. During deep sleep, the brain temporarily lowers its level of vigilance. But if the brain senses instability inside the system, it may activate protective responses designed to restore alertness. This happens automatically and outside of conscious awareness, and the brain always chooses safety over sleep.
One of those protective responses is the neural sleep inhibition response. This response acts like a biological safety switch in the nervous system. Its purpose is to interrupt deep sleep when the brain detects uncertainty. The brain briefly shifts toward awareness and monitoring. Heart rate, hormones, and neural activity adjust accordingly. The body moves slightly closer to wakefulness, and this transition can happen very quickly during the night. Under normal conditions, this mechanism is extremely helpful. It protects the brain from sleeping through situations that require awareness. For example, sudden environmental changes or internal stress signals. The brain temporarily increases vigilance until stability returns. Once the system feels balanced again, sleep usually resumes naturally. Most people never even notice this process happening because the brain quickly restores deep sleep afterward. The difficulty begins when this response becomes too sensitive. The brain starts detecting instability even when no real danger exists. Small hormonal shifts or nervous system signals can trigger alertness. The neural sleep inhibition response activates more easily, and the person begins waking in the middle of the night more frequently. Sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented over time. That is when people begin feeling as if their rest is constantly interrupted. But there is encouraging news hidden inside this process. The brain is remarkably adaptable and capable of learning new patterns. Just as it learned to become sensitive during sleep, it can also relearn how to stabilize the night again. The nervous system can regain a sense of internal safety, and when that stability returns, the brain allows deeper sleep cycles. The key question is, what signals help the brain restore that stability? The key to restoring healthy sleep is not forcing the brain to shut down. Many people try to overpower their mind at night. They attempt to silence their thoughts through effort and frustration. But the brain rarely responds well to pressure. Sleep is not something that can be commanded directly. It is something the nervous system allows when the conditions feel right. And those conditions begin deep inside the body's internal balance. What truly helps is reducing the triggers that activate the neural sleep inhibition response. When the nervous system senses stability again, it stops sending alert signals. The brain no longer feels the need to monitor the environment so closely. This allows the body to remain in deeper sleep cycles instead of shifting toward vigilance in the middle of the night. The brain gradually releases its protective guard, and the nervous system begins settling into a calmer rhythm.
When the brain begins receiving the right biological signals again, several changes occur. Cortisol levels stabilize closer to their natural timing. The nervous system shifts away from heightened alertness. The brain becomes less reactive to minor internal fluctuations. Sleep cycles regain their natural continuity. The body can move more smoothly between stages of sleep, and the night begins feeling longer and more restorative. As this balance improves, the brain's internal sleep switch becomes more stable. That sleep switch is responsible for maintaining deep rest during the night. When it functions properly, the brain stays committed to sleep. Small disturbances no longer trigger sudden awakenings. The nervous system remains calm and steady. The brain no longer needs to activate brain alert mode prematurely, and sleep becomes less fragile and easier to maintain. Over time, this allows the brain to exit brain alert mode more consistently. The mind no longer jumps into activity during the quietest hours of the night. Instead of waking abruptly around 3 a.m., the brain continues cycling through sleep. Thoughts remain quiet because the brain never fully activates. The body stays relaxed and undisturbed, and the night begins to pass without those sudden awakenings. The brain simply continues doing what it was designed to do. This is when the body naturally returns to something very important: the ability to sleep through the night without constant interruptions, not through force or artificial sedation, but through restored biological balance inside the nervous system. The brain begins trusting the night again, and that stability allows deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. This is also where certain forms of nighttime support can quietly begin helping the brain maintain that balance. Some sleep specialists recommend gentle forms of nighttime support designed to stabilize the nervous system while the body sleeps. These approaches are not meant to overpower the brain or force unconsciousness. Instead, they focus on supporting the biological signals that guide natural sleep. The goal is to help the brain remain calm during the most sensitive hours of the night. When the nervous system stays stable, the brain is less likely to activate protective responses. That stability allows deeper sleep cycles to continue uninterrupted, and it reduces the chance of sudden awakenings around 3 a.m. Many of these supports focus on restoring balance in the body's nighttime signals. They help encourage healthier cortisol rhythms during the night. They support the natural signaling process of melatonin in the brain. They help the nervous system remain calmer while the body rests. This combination strengthens the brain's internal sleep stability. When those signals remain balanced, the brain becomes less reactive, and the neural sleep inhibition response becomes less likely to activate. The intention behind this type of support is not sedation. Nothing is designed to force the brain into unconsciousness. Instead, the goal is to support the biological systems that already regulate sleep. When those systems function smoothly, sleep becomes easier to maintain. The brain remains confident that the body is safe enough to stay asleep, and the nervous system avoids entering brain alert mode during the night. That is when people begin experiencing longer and more restorative sleep cycles. Some sleep specialists suggest these supports as part of a broader sleep strategy. They are typically used alongside healthy circadian habits and nighttime routines. Their role is simply to reinforce the brain's internal sleep stability signals. When used correctly, they can help the brain avoid triggering the neural sleep inhibition response. This makes it easier for the body to remain in deeper sleep stages, and many people begin noticing fewer awakenings during the night, especially during the early morning hours when the brain is most sensitive. If you're curious about the specific type of nighttime support many sleep specialists mention, you can find more information in the first pinned comment below this video. There you can see what kind of support is often recommended. It's designed to work with the body rather than against it. The goal is simply to help the brain remain calm during sleep. Nothing exaggerated and no unrealistic promises, just support for the biology that helps the brain stay asleep naturally. But before that, there is one important detail most people never hear about. Sleep researchers have discovered a very sensitive biological window during the night. Between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., cortisol activity in the brain can fluctuate unexpectedly. When those fluctuations happen at the wrong moment, the brain may react instantly. It can trigger the neural sleep inhibition response without any external disturbance. And that is when the brain suddenly enters brain alert mode during the night. In the next pinned video, you'll see exactly why this specific window matters so much for sleep.